Hello everyone, this is Anushka Mann and I welcome you all to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about my interview experience for IIM Lucknow. So let's get started. First of all, please excuse any fan noise you might hear in the background because I don't have a mic as of yet. And although I've turned off the fans, but the AC is running on high speed because it's 40 degrees in Delhi right now, even though it's evening time. So yeah, whatever. So regarding my IIM Lucknow call, I didn't convert it as of yet. I'm in the wait list, so I don't know if I'll convert it or not. But regardless of that, I'll share how my interview experience went. And let me tell you guys that IIM Lucknow was the first interview that I ever gave. So obviously it was nerve-wracking for me, because obviously it's the first interview that I was giving. I had no idea how it was gonna go, and I was, all the tensions and anxieties that surround you when you're giving your first interview. But at the same time, I was also very, very excited for it because it was the first interview. Firsts are always special. And I bought a suit for the first time. I had never worn a suit before. So I bought that classic black suit with a white shirt, and I felt so professional when I tried it on. And just the entire feel of it, from prepping for the interviews to going for the interviews and appearing for it, it all seemed very exciting to me because I was doing it for the first time. And also the fact it does feel very surreal because, when you are preparing for your CAT examination, you could only dream of, appearing for interviews or maybe going this close to the institutes, to the B schools of your dreams. And when that actually happens, it feels very, very surreal. Anyways, I'll stop talking now and I'll talk about my interview experience. So I have my laptop here with me and I'm gonna share the interview transcript that I had written down the day I got over with my interview. So my interview was at the IIM Lucknow Noida campus, and it was on 29th January 2024. So basically my allotted time was 12:30 p.m. But the actual what PI process started at 2 because there was document verification going on for all the people. So that took a little bit of time. But overall, I'd say that the arrangement and the management was very, very smooth for the entire process. There were no unnecessary delays that I actually saw in the entire process. So basically for IIM Lucknow, once you get the interview shortlist, there are two things that you have to appear for. First is the written ability test, which is called WAT, and then we have the personal interview. So in WAT, you are going to get a topic which is given on the spot, and then you are given a certain amount of time to write an essay on it. Now that essay doesn't have to be very, very long. It's pretty short essay that you're supposed to write. They give you a sheet of paper and you don't have to exceed that. And then once you are done, they call you one by one for the personal interview. So for me, my allotted time, my reporting time was 12:30 p.m. and I reached the center at around 11:45 because it's always best to reach the center, in my opinion, at least 30 to 45 minutes before your reporting time. Now, some of you would say that, okay, this is just madness. Why would you even do that? Because, there are a lot of people who reach the venue even half an hour or 40 minutes late post their reporting time. But I personally feel that for such important events, you shouldn't be so casual about it. And anything can happen, There could be a delay in the metros if you're traveling through them. There could be some tire puncture or maybe any other mishap, any accident might happen, God forbid that. But there could be anything happening to you that day. So for such important events, please leave your house earlier. Like, you can sleep later throughout the day. At least just don't slack on this particular very, very important day. So I reached the center at around 11:45, and immediately my documents were verified. So you will be given, if you get the interview shortlist, they'll send you a mail in which they write all the documents that you have to bring, the original ones. And then it was just waiting and waiting and waiting. It was a very quiet room in which all of us were seated where the document verification was going on. Like, it was a long hall and there were like chairs in several rows, and it was nerve-wracking to sit in that room, to be honest, because the air was full of tension. And for most of the people it was the first interview, because it happened pretty early on in January itself. So yeah, the tension and the anxiousness in that room was another level. Then we were divided into our panels. We were divided into groups based on our panel number, and then there was a person who escorted us to the respective rooms where our personal interview was going to be held according to our panel number. So there were these rooms labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. According to your panel numbers, you were taken to those rooms. So inside the room where the personal interview took place, there were like 8 chairs. I think there were 8 to 10 people in each panel, and in that particular slot there could be more or less the same people in other slots. So we were seated in chairs inside that room, and the 2 people who were our interviewers, for me both of them were like male professors, and they were the ones conducting our WAT. So we were seated in that room. We were given a sheet of paper, which was both side rule. It was an A4 size sheet paper, and we were not supposed to ask for extra. We were supposed to wrap our essay into that particular sheet only. So the topic was announced, and 15 minutes were given to us for thinking and writing for the entire VAT process. So basically they announced the topic 2 times, and then 15 minutes were given to us to write and think, and we were not supposed to exceed it. And to be honest, 15 minutes seems very, very less, but when you're actually over there, it's not that less, to be very honest. It's very easy to think and categorize your points in such a manner in order to have a very presentable essay. You know what I mean? I think, in my opinion, it was ample amount of time. So our topic was, wait, what was it? Let me search. Yeah. So my that topic was, the end does not justify the means. And I think it's a pretty simple topic. Although when you are a bit stressed, you might find it a little difficult to think of too many points, but try to have a very constructive essay, something that has a logic behind it and a good constructive ending. So that was my VAT, which lasted for around 15 minutes, and then was the time for personal interviews. All of us were asked to wait outside, and for me, my serial number was 2 in this particular interview process, so it happened pretty quickly. So there were 2 male panelists, as I said. They didn't introduce themselves as such. There were quick greetings, and then they started with the standard question of, tell me something about yourself, which I did. So I had already prepared, as all MBA aspirants do, a standard tell me something about yourself answer, which was around 1 to 1.5 minutes. Then it was followed by, why didn't you pursue English honors in your undergrad? So I think the professor, he asked me this question because I had a lot of experience during my undergrad for with regards to writing and stuff. I was into content writing and other stuff, part of literary society and all that. So I think that's why he asked me that question. So I answered why. I answered that my rough answer, as far as I remember, was that languages have always been part of my life. They're like a hobby, a recreational activity for me. And no matter what I do in my life, I'll always keep them as a hobby side by side. And I've always done that. And hence I could pursue my interest in chemistry as well. And alongside, I could also pursue my interest in writing, because it's like a passion, a hobby for me, you know. So I can manage both things simultaneously. So it's I don't remember the exact answer. It's a very rough answer that I remember now. Then they indirectly asked me why MBA. So why MBA is a question that I think it boggles a lot of freshers, because I'm a fresher myself. So I appeared for CAT right after my undergrad ended. So they asked me why MBA, but I was already prepped with the answer. So I did that. Although they tried to cross question me 2-3 times so as to confuse me, but there was one thing that I was really clear about, that I'm not gonna get confused as to what they are telling me, because as for freshers, the interviewers, they deliberately try to see that whether or not you are actually ready to pursue an MBA. They'll try to break you down and maybe confuse you in what you are saying, that eventually you will yourself admit that, okay, I don't think I'm ready for an MBA, which is exactly what you're not supposed to do. Then they asked me, so now I had mentioned an interest in venturing into entrepreneurship in the later part of my life, and that I was quite serious about it, and that it was something that actually propelled me to look towards an MBA in the first place. So they asked me the scope that chemistry graduates might have in the entrepreneurial journey. So I was able to answer that pretty decently. Then the last question was that something related to biotechnology and how it is emerging as a competitor with the chemistry subject. And that was something I didn't have a lot of knowledge about, so I politely declined that, I don't have a lot of knowledge about it to comment properly on it and something like that. And that was all. So the interview lasted for about 12 to 30 minutes, and that was the average time for all the people in my panel. And the panelists were very, very sweet. They were not trying to put me under some kind of pressure. Like, they were very, very decent, very, very, they were good listeners. And I appreciate interviewers who are good listeners, who are willing to listen what you've got to say. And I don't really condemn cross questioning. Yes, I should be cross questioned, but when you ask me a question, you should listen what I've got to say. And that they did. They were very polite. They were smiling through the entire time, and they really helped me calm my nerves because they were so polite. So overall, it was a very sweet, memorable experience, and that too, since it was my first one and it went pretty well in my opinion. I think it really set the tone for the rest of my interviews. It really boosted my confidence. So that's it about my IIM Lucknow interview experience. So I'll try to post more videos about my experiences at other colleges and other universities and B schools. And if you have anything to ask me in the comments, please feel free to mention them, and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. Bye-bye.